Okay, it's Friday, December 9th. This is a pre-opening SPY report, a little less than an hour to go before the market opens. There was just a PPI number released, and we'll show you what the futures did. Prior to that report being released, I drew three lines here at the moment. I'll erase one in a second. The pre-market range was kind of grinding up a little bit. If I looked at before the number was released, we were grinding up here, and I had these two lines in play, and essentially we were going to be moving up again. But to me, I still wasn't thrilled about the upside in the bigger picture, given that if we expand the 15-minute chart out, even if we started moving up, we're still just filling in, again, this inefficient pricing, and it looks like a rising wedge that's about to roll over. But if we started strong, I didn't know if today would be the day we'd roll over, and it is possible you get a strong green bar again. But again, after yesterday's kind of weak rally attempt, given the big red bars here, without any clear target up above, just kind of filling in this gap area, I was expecting the rollover. Anyway, so the number is released, and it's kind of a negative reaction to the number. 1 minute chart, we came all the way down, and we're setting up new lows in here. So at this point, what's interesting about this middle line now is it kind of represents the midpoint of that prior day bar. So even though it's not technically the high of the range, which is all the way up here, if we can get a green start above this line, that would be like a 15-minute big strong green bar. That could start a rally up above the midpoint of the prior day, continuation higher into this gap. But we'll see what happens. In terms of the actual market, the pre-market range, it's really now this. It was high up here, now the low's down here. So you could see it kind of covers the entire yesterday's day's range. And, basically, are we going to get a 2-down day, which if you look at the prior videos, that kind of projects to this yellow line, and that has significant on the monthly chart to really possibly reverse last month's bar, or are we going to kind of hold in here? And now it doesn't really look like we're going to be breaking out above that pre-market high, given that we're kind of holding down here in the bottom area. So I'm still anticipating, and I was always anticipating, a break to the downside. So let's see if we get some follow through down. Again, any move up now, given just this price action, I don't really think is going to rally all the way up to these pre-market highs. And we'll just have to see, how the 15-minute bar opens. It would be actually probably nice to have a little bit of a rally up towards the midpoint of that bar, then roll over, and then kind of play a down move to see if we can take out these lows here. So we'll see what happens. And I guess I'll start getting into this a little later, but I'm almost getting to the point now with about 15 days to go. This is a yearly chart. And you kind of want to know, as this year comes to an end, what looks likely into next year. And if you're going to have this red bar, even with a little bit of a tail, you still would kind of expect a little follow through to at least test that area, even if it's going to turn green. I'm looking back on the various, here's an example of a yearly down bar that had a little tail, but then it opened up. The next year, maybe moved up for a week or so, and then it was down all year long. So the bottom line is, we're going to have to see if next year, it's a 3 bar here, so we might just hold inside of that. You never know. Anyway, the main thing is going to be in January where that opening is, and whether or not we're above or below that open, all year long. Sometimes you have a red bar like this, you open up and you go green immediately on the year, and you're green all year long. So that will be critical. But as we kind of come to the end, back to the weekly chart, I'm seeing a 2-down week that I also, expect to, now that it looks like we're going to kind of close near the lower end of this range on Friday. That's going to probably have high probability to have a little follow through lower into next week. So that's why I'm kind of biased to the downside, given that I was following this week, 2 down days, pause, a little bit of a little reversal day, and then now we're kind of near the bottom. So these 5 days as a whole look to be kind of setting up to be a negative red bar that should follow through a little bit lower into next week. And then, like I said, in terms of going up, I'm going to have to see some kind of weekly reversal. So let's say we close down here, we would need either a little test of those lows and then come to the midpoint of this bar next week, or we'd have to get some kind of small bar in here that gets a 2-up week into the end of the year. So other than that, I'm biased to the short side, but we'll see what happens. A lot of volatility here with this number, and we're just going to have to watch, I guess, this big range. We're going to have to see if we get a 2-down day kind of below this area here. That should, signal that we're heading towards those that yellow line. If not, then maybe we're just going to consolidate in this area all day long. It's a Friday, hard to know how the market's going to react. So let's see how it goes.